Morphe Cosmetics owes a bunch of different influencers millions of dollars, so let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Hello, friends. My name is Ryan, and this is another episode of Ryan's Rundown. Morphe was pumping out influencer collaborations left and right, and they were on the top of their game. But in 2023, that quickly came to an end. The company filed for bankruptcy, owing millions of dollars to different influencers. We're diving into the drama that led to Morphe's downfall, the influencers caught in the crossfire, and the wider implications for the beauty industry as a whole. Morphe Cosmetics was founded in 2008, but it wasn't until the mid 2010s that it began to soar to new heights. The brand's genius lay in the ability to capitalize on a new wave of marketing. Now, this was the rise of the beauty influencer. Back in the day, brands that we know and love, like Elf Cosmetics, L'Oreal, all of these different brands were using celebrity sponsors. If you think about it, paying Kendall Jenner $1 million to be the face of your brand for, I don't know, 6 months to a year is a lot less cost efficient when you could have an influencer do a sponsorship, right? So, Instagram and YouTube were evolving, and a fresh generation of makeup artists, beauty gurus, and influencers started to basically dominate the scene. Now, in 2015, Morphe did a collaboration with Jaclyn Hill, who, if we all know Jaclyn Hill. Morphe did a collaboration with Jaclyn Hill back in 2015, and they released the Morphe X Jaclyn Hill palette, which was literally a smash success. Everyone I knew was after this palette. You had to have this palette. This palette really put Jaclyn Hill on the map when it came to her ability to sell products for a brand. Now, the palette's success was proof that the brand's new strategy, teaming up with influencers, drove product sales and it helped build brand loyalty. Now, Morphe Cosmetics, they weren't just another makeup brand, they had the IT group of influencers. They included James Charles, Jeffree Star, Nikita Dragon, and Instagram stars that were signing deals to have their own palettes made and full on collections with Morphe. And you know what? For a while, it actually worked. And you know what? It really did stick. Now, the golden era, right? So, in the mid 2010s, Morphe Cosmetics was growing. They had a massive following, prices were accessible with high quality. Morphe became the go-to brand for makeup enthusiasts. I think they were trying to become a staple, just like Ulta Beauty and Sephora. Now, Ulta and Sephora carry lots of celebrity lines, influencer lines, so I think Morphe was trying to be a direct competitor with Sephora and Ulta, and for a while, it was working. The partnerships between the influencer and the brand created like a symbiotic relationship. And for Morphe, this model was quite simple: make products that influencers wanted to promote, pay them for it, and then let the audience do the rest. So, in 2018, the first major sign all was not as what it seemed was when Jeffree Star found himself in a bunch of controversy. Now, Jeffree Star's collaborations with Morphe were hugely successful, right? His drama from his own past ultimately led to Morphe dropping Jeffree Star as a client as a whole across all of their platforms, online and brick and mortar. In 2020, the relationship was officially cut off, and this wasn't the end of Morphe's drama with influencers. Let's be real. This was the beginning of Morphe's drama with influencers. The beauty world was rocked by the scandals of James Charles, who was accused of inappropriate behavior, if you know what I mean, with underage boys. And it really were these allegations that caused an immediate fallout with James Charles. He lost millions of subscribers. There was a social blade going on of his subscribers dropping by the hundreds of thousands every single day. It was an insane time to be alive, to be honest. Now, this scandal led to a public feud with his former friend, Tati Westbrook. And for Morphe, this was a difficult situation because James Charles was one of the brand's biggest faces, and his palette with Morphe was one of the brand's top selling palettes. But with the public pressure of James Charles's scandal, Morphe ultimately decided to cut ties with James Charles as well. So they cut ties with Jeffree Star, and now they've cut ties with James Charles. And these are big name influencers with millions of subscribers. So not only is Morphe cutting off a direct relationship between the influencer and the brand, now Morphe's cutting off all of this potential sales that were coming from Jeffree Star and James Charles. This is a brand that was built on the backs of influencers. Their followers followed Morphe because their favorite influencer was in a direct partnership. If you had over 1 million followers, you had a Morphe code. These influencers for sure made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars using these Morphe codes. Morphe's financial situation was quietly going down. The beauty market as a whole was completely changed by COVID. Now we had brands like Fenty Beauty, Rare Beauty, and Kylie Cosmetics that were all gaining traction. And the consumer taste started shifting towards a more inclusive, high quality product versus what Morphe was giving. Morphe had stores closing left and right, product launches were delayed, and so obviously Morphe's revenue began to decline. And by 2023, the company filed for bankruptcy, listing millions of dollars in debt. We have court documents to prove this, that Morphe owes millions of dollars to a bunch of different influencers that you know the names of. Morphe owed these influencers like Jeffree Star, Jaclyn Hill, James Charles, who had been long considered ambassadors for the brand, were now caught in a financial mess with no clear resolution. So Morphe had all the large launches, Morphe cuts ties with James Charles and Jeffree Star, and now Morphe has filed for bankruptcy, right? Well, some influencers had completed product promotions and launched collections only to find that they weren't going to get paid at all. This situation blew up on TikTok. Jeffree Star mentioned it on the Canceled podcast with Tana Mojo and Brooke Schofield about how Morphe still owes him millions of dollars. James Charles made a TikTok about how Morphe owes James millions of dollars. And they're not the only ones, right? Morphe owes a bunch of people a lot of money. Of course, they are financially frustrated with this partnership. Now, Morphe, in an attempt to salvage their reputation, they released a statement promising to honor all the outstanding debts and restructure the business in a way that would ensure fair compensation for everyone that was involved. But the damage is already done because the influencers feel like Morphe took advantage of all of their platforms and didn't uphold their end of the deal. There's still one thing that's clear is that Morphe highly relied on influencer driven marketing, which once propelled Morphe to the top. But it's no longer a sustainable strategy. Morphe's image as a whole became Jeffree Star, Nikita Dragun, James Charles, and Jaclyn Hill. All four of those influencers all had their own separate scandals that didn't even necessarily involve Morphe as a brand. But because they were so closely intertwined, Morphe financially took the hit, which ultimately led to the influencers taking a financial hit as well. And they weren't paid when Morphe filed for bankruptcy. And to this day, allegedly, they still have not been paid back. The tension between the brand and the creator over unpaid contracts brought to light the actual fragile nature of these partnerships. With brands like Fenty Beauty and Rare Beauty, the question still remains, can beauty brands continue to rely on the influencer, or will there be a shift in a business strategy at some point? Because the rise and fall of Morphe Cosmetics is a story about more than just makeup. It's about the complex relationship between a brand and its influencers that were overall promoting the brand. I know I got sick of hearing about all the Morphe codes. I get it. I wanted a Morphe code, right? Who didn't want a Morphe code? Anyway, for Morphe, this is a cautionary tale about the cost of celebrity endorsements and the pitfalls of relying too heavily on the ever-changing influencer market. Let me know down below, do you guys want a full deep dive into the beginning and the end of Morphe Cosmetics? How would you feel if you were owed millions of dollars by a company, then they filed for bankruptcy, and now you don't get paid? Sound off down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Ryan's Rundown. Be sure to like and subscribe down below and turn on post notifications to get notified every time I upload a brand new video. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I will see you guys next time. Bye now.